Borderlands 4 has been an absolutely massive game with so much content and so much world to explore, and yet despite the creative director saying that they're setting out to make this one the definitive Borderlands game, one thing is clear after finishing this game: the story is far from over. Borderlands 4 is not the final entry, and war is coming. If that last phrase doesn't sound familiar to you, then you are missing out on a key story point that was introduced to the Borderlands universe back in 2011 during the events of Borderlands the pre-sequel. The pre-sequel holds a lot of relevance to Borderlands 4, as that whole game took place on Pandora's moon, Elpis, and the whole event that kickstarted Borderlands 4 story was Elpis being teleported into Kairos. Hence, there are a lot of references and callbacks to that game, more than I'm going to cover in this video. But the single most important one is that of the Watcher at the end of the game.
Now is not the time for bickering, Vault Hunters. War is coming, and you will need all the Vault Hunters you can get.
For years, fans have been wondering what happened to this storyline, to these characters, because after this game came out, there just seemed to be nothing regarding it, despite how big Borderlands 3 was and just how many wars were happening during that game. People weren't sure if that was the war. It wasn't helped by the sheer amount of characters that returned as well. Due to the coincidence of both of these at once, I don't blame people for thinking Borderlands 3 was what the Watcher was talking about. There was only one thing that was missing from that, however: the Watcher. You can't have the character giving the warning not show up during the event that they're warning about. So because so much time had passed, many other fans believe that they just dropped this storyline altogether and were moving on to different things. But those who held out hope were rewarded, as this game made it clear that they have not forgotten. Borderlands 4 repeatedly repeats the Watcher's words in some way, shape, or form, multiple times throughout all of the content in the game, even just outright repeating them verbatim.
I figured we could use all the Vault Hunters we can get.
I know what that shadow is, Vault Hunter. War is coming.
It's really trying to drill into your head, subtly and not so subtly, that war is coming. And so in this video, I wanted to specifically talk about the Watcher, because their relevance goes far beyond just being referenced, as they actually make an appearance as well. Perhaps not physically, but the Watcher returns in this game via the Primordial Vaults. There are 3 of them in total, scattered around Kairos, and the Watcher is the one who guides the Vault Hunters through each of them. Their intention and purpose here is varied. Of course, in the simplest of terms, the Watcher seeks strong and capable Vault Hunters for this impending war.
We have need of Vault Hunters, and you have need of the Vaults and their power.
The Vaults are meant to serve as a test of their strength and for our characters to prove themselves. That much is obvious. But on the other hand, the Watcher seems almost appalled by these Vaults' existence and wants them destroyed, because these Primordial Vaults are not actual vaults. They were not created by the Iridians themselves, but were rather created by the Timekeeper. It's important to make clear, the Timekeeper himself is a guardian. He is someone the Iridians created to serve a singular task, and that was to protect the relic that grants immortality. He was the Keeper of Time. That is his sole reason for existence. That was his order. Hence why he's so obsessed with it and why he spends the entire game in one place, at his vault. He literally lives to guard it for eternity. But as has become more and more common as the Borderlands games continue, the Guardians are slowly evolving beyond their created purposes and finding new motivations to act upon. And of course, while the main deviation the Timekeeper does this by is by literally ruling a planet, another method he went about doing something new was trying to mimic his own creators and be just like them.
Naughty Timekeeper building his own vaults, his own guardians. His failure could only be hidden away.
He tried to do what the Iridians did by creating his own vaults and creating his own primordial guardians using his own essence and power.
A portion of his power. Misplaced.
He created 3 primordial guardians in an attempt to be just like himself: Inceptus, Radix, and Origo, each thematically named for what he hoped was something new. Each of their names translated from Latin gives you an idea of what he had hoped from them. Inceptus means having begun or attempted, like someone's inception. Radix is the root, the foundation, the source of something, while Origo means the origin. Yet another attempt to create something that would be the source of a new beginning. Yet it seems despite how hard these guardians tried, none of them lived up to the expectation the Timekeeper was hoping for. He saw the imperfections in each of them, and so threw them away like they were nothing.
Naughty Timekeeper loves his order, hates imperfections, sees them in everything he makes, can't stand the sight of them.
He locked them in their vaults and hid them away from his sight, stripping them of their purpose and utility.
What use is a guardian? Nothing much if it doesn't follow orders. This one tried so very hard. Cast away, nonetheless. It is always the created that pays for the mistakes of the creator.
It could be empathy for the guardians the Watcher has, or disdain for the Timekeeper and his ego to mimic their creators, but whatever it is, the Watcher wanted these guardians put down and wanted to find capable Vault Hunters in the process, which they got.
End this malformed thing's suffering and take from it that with which the Timekeeper imbued it.
It's interesting to hear the Watcher's almost holier-than-thou attitude towards the Timekeeper, as if they already knew everything he was doing was frivolous and foolish. All as if the Watcher had already seen these things before, or knows more because they're an older entity.
Naughty Timekeeper thought only he was watching, but I was kindled by an older fire. I saw it all.
All in all, a pretty minor role, all things considered, with not too much to dig deep into. Except, things don't end there. Where things get really interesting is actually in a side mission called It's a Whole Phase Situation. In it, we meet Watching G, a mysterious NPC who has lost their cat and asks us to find it. But you'll notice the voice sounds oh so familiar.
Vault Hunter, I've been watching you for what seems like ages. My cat is missing, and I require someone of your unique talents to find them. Mori is a special creature.
Now, inherently when it comes to this mission, this being the Watcher, having the same voice actor, the same mannerisms, speaking as ominously as the Watcher does, that's the bit of this mission. Sometimes missions just have gimmicks, and it's easy to say that that's the whole point of this mission. That it's a silly troll that it's pretty much supposed to be exactly like the Watcher, without it actually being the Watcher. And on one hand, I don't disagree because that is likely what this is, but at the same time, this NPC doesn't just get to fly by like nothing happened because there are some major implications with their existence. In this mission, we seek out their cat, Mori. But when we arrive, our characters are shocked to see that Mori is a talking phase cat.
You can talk?
Oh, my companion did that for me. Let's dish about it after we get out of here.
Not too dissimilar to Vex's own Trouble, except Trouble cannot talk, which she directly states.
I wish my feline friend could talk. But they have been a primary witness to a lot of murder, so maybe not.
Mori was just casually exploring, but keeps getting sucked into the phase, causing him to teleport all over the place. Hence, why he's lost and why Watching G can't locate them. We find him and help him escape the mines despite being teleported all over the place. Watching G thanks us and leaves us off on this ominous statement.
Do enjoy your time on Kairos before. Well, I look forward to watching you.
All in all, it's not a very eventful mission on the surface, but many things beg questioning. Let's start with Mori, because their existence is quite interesting. Firstly, despite being described as a cat, Mori's model is that of a mangler, which isn't inherently the problem. But you look at Vex's cat Trouble, and it looks like an actual cat. It's unique, it's different to every other animal we've seen. It is one of a kind. And Vex is a siren who we know can use the phase to manifest them. So Trouble is as true to form of a phase cat as you can possibly get. So if this is a true to form phase animal, it makes it less likely that Mori is the same, meaning he must have been a normal mangler imbued with the power of the phase. He talks about being a normal cat before watching G gave him the ability to speak.
What was it like for you? You know, when you started being able to talk?
I mean, my thoughts didn't change. They just started, like, leaving my mouth. Ooh, the weirdest part was losing my meow.
And we've not met any animal that can just speak. Maurice can talk, but that's through technology. Mori has seemingly been given this ability via the phase. But then that begs the question, why does watching G have so much knowledge and possible control over the phase? Because it is a very easy detail to overlook, but the phase dimension is not common knowledge. We just learned about it. So why does he know so much about it already to the point that he understands the whole reason Mori was losing control and phasing all over the place was because Ordinite was in the area. Ordinite is kind of this weird new element in Borderlands 4 that's never fully explained. It's very similar to Iridium in that it has many mutagenic properties and energies, which overall makes it a very unique resource. It's what the Timekeeper used to make his vaults and why they're yellow instead of purple, because it's being powered by Ordinite and not Iridium. They're practically the same thing, but they react negatively to each other. If made in direct contact, they'll pretty much explode right on the spot. So because Mori is a phase entity, being so close in proximity to large amounts of Ordinite is what was causing him to lose control and be teleported all over the place.
I can't have you going into those mines. You know what those stones can do.
And watching G knew this. They embody the Watcher in all aspects, seeming to just know things as if they are watching everything. And they are a Watcher, as Mori says.
No wonder they couldn't find you.
Tragically, even a Watcher can only see so far.
A what?
A watch?
But what that means is ambiguous. And it all ends with Mori just walking into the phase. The color is quite different to all of the other phase rifts that are formed throughout the game. But yet again, it leaves you questioning why and how. Of course, sirens are able to open rifts like we saw Amara do, but throughout the story, Vile Lictor is opening rifts himself, RJ can manipulate the phase. It just appears like once someone has been connected to it, they can manipulate it. So this shows Mori's clear connection to the phase. But as for why it's red instead of the traditional purplish blue color, you'll have to think about yourself. But in a breaking the fourth wall type of experience, something else that only adds to the fact that this is someone more relevant than just a gimmick is because I got to play an early version of the game back in late May, which was about 3 to 4 months before the game came out. We were literally like some of the first people to play the game who weren't the developers. And during that play session, we got to play one of the Primordial vaults. But the Watcher wasn't labeled as the Watcher. They were labeled as Watching G. Initially, when I saw this, I thought the Watcher was maybe just trying to be incognito by going under a different name. But as the game got closer to release, the game was being worked on and others got to play a more updated version of what I played, the name got updated to what it is now, the Watcher. So I was like, oh, I guess it was just a placeholder name. I don't know why, but whatever. But then, when the final version of the game came out and I was wandering around, Watching G pops up in the form of this character. And you should have seen my face because I was stunned. I was frozen in place. Cause now I have to wonder, why was the Watcher in the vaults labeled as Watching G? I get it being a placeholder if it came to a character model or something. Oh, we haven't finished designing Rush or someone, so we just have them as a generic NPC model for the time being, or something like that. But this is just text, and all of the letters except the R are present to spell the Watcher. Surely it's not that hard to replace text, so why would they have been labeled as Watching G to begin with? I don't know, but I just have this knowledge that it existed, so now I have to wonder. Another theory could possibly be that the Watcher did exactly what the Timekeeper did. That Watching G is a spawn of the Watcher, that they were created by the Watcher. But unlike how the Timekeeper created primordial guardians just like himself, the Timekeeper tried to create beings that were just like him, equal of power. But perhaps the Watcher just created spawns, like the Iridians created the Guardians. The Guardians were never meant to be exactly like the Iridians, they were just created in their image. So perhaps the Watcher sees the error in the Timekeeper's methods of trying to create equals, and so instead just created a lesser spawn, similar to themselves, but not quite. It would thematically be very fitting for why they're in the Timekeeper's vault dealing with his own creations. I definitely feel like the Watcher is going to return to Borderlands 4 in some future DLC, perhaps closer more to some of the final ones, but I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of the Watcher returning and the role they played in the Primordial Vaults? Also, what do you think of Watching G? Do you think there is something to them? Do you think they're the Watcher, or do you think the Watcher created them? Or do you think it was all one big gimmick? Any and all thoughts, be sure to let me know in the comments below, subscribe for more Borderlands 4 content, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.